The story of Helen. A long time ago, a great wedding was planned between a famous warrior called Peleus and a lovely sea nymph whose name was Thetis. All the kings and queens of the day were invited to the wedding feast, as well as the immortal ones who lived on Mount Olympus. All that is, except for one. For no invitation was sent to Eris, the goddess of strife. It was generally thought a bad idea to invite strife to a wedding party in case it caused a happy couple to quarrel. As revenge, Eris decided to play a spiteful trick on the wedding guest.
I can take this golden apple and write "to the fairest" on it and leave it at the table where the most beautiful goddesses sit: Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite.
As soon as Eris placed the apple on the table, the goddesses right away started fighting about who was the fairest in all the land.
I am the fairest in all the land because I am the queen of all immortal gods, so it follows that I must be the fairest in all the land.
My dear Hera, you might be the queens of gods, but I am the goddess of wisdom. Beauty is wisdom, and wisdom is beauty. So therefore, the apple belongs to me. Darlings, it's quite obvious who deserves the apple. I am the goddess of love, and more beautiful than anybody else, so I deserve the apple.
The goddesses carried on arguing constantly for years after the wedding was over. But time means nothing to the immortal ones. Zeus became quite fed up with the bickering. Soon enough, Zeus had a brilliant idea.
Maybe we should have a beauty contest, and Paris, Prince of Troy, should be the judge of this contest.
Totally.
Totally.
I shall watch this beauty contest to make sure it's fair.
One day when Paris was out hunting on the foothills of Mount Ida, he discovered three lovely goddesses standing beneath a tree. In all his life, he had never seen such dazzling beauty. For a moment, he stood amazed. Then Hermes, who was the winged messenger of the gods, flew up to Paris and spoke as follows.
Hail Paris, Prince of Troy. Zeus, king of all gods, has asked you to judge the beauty contest for the three goddesses.
It's very hard to choose. You are each beautiful. Hera, you have the most milky white skin. Athena, you have the most dazzling eyes. And Aphrodite, you have the most charming smile. I have no clue whom to pick.
At length, seeing that he was at a loss, Hera said to him,
Prince Paris, give me the apple, and I will give you great power.
Prince Paris, if you choose me, I will give you the gift of wisdom. My dear Paris, if you choose me, I will give you the love that was beautiful in the world, Helen.
Paris no longer found the choice to be hard. He had always been in love with Helen, the most beautiful girl on earth, but Helen was already married to King Menelaus. He thought for a minute, then he realized with the goddesses of love on his side, Helen would have to love him.
I give the apple to Aphrodite.
Yes. Thank you.
Hera and Athena flew back to Mount Olympus with a big complaint to Zeus about how unfair the competition was.
Paris set sail for the land of Sparta, where Menelaus was king and lived with his beautiful wife Helen. Menelaus welcomed the famous prince into his palace, and while the two sat talking about the affairs of the world, Queen Helen came down from her perfumed room looking as lovely as a goddess. The maidservants brought her a seat and covered it with a soft lamb's wool rug. But before she began to embroider, she glanced over at the visiting prince and questioned her husband.
Now I guess who has come to visit this fine evening? Paris, Prince of Troy?
Yes, wife, you are right as always. Paris, Prince of Troy, has come to visit us.
At dinner that night, Helen added a special potion to her wine so that anyone who drank it would forget all his cares and be happy for the rest of the evening. They feasted and made merry while Menelaus was busy laughing and one of his generals. Paris spoke softly to Queen Helen.
My most beautiful queen, I beg you to meet me in the orchard beneath the palace walls. We shall sail away together to the most beautiful city in the world, Troy.
And because the goddess of love had wished so, Helen could not resist herself and agreed to his suggestion.
And because the goddess of love had wished it so, Helen could not resist herself and agreed to his suggestion. Menelaus awoke the next morning, and he discovered that his guest and his wife had run away together. He flew into a rage, kicking the furniture and punching all the walls in his chamber. He swore before all the gods that his revenge would be truly terrible, and so he went to his elder brother, King Agamemnon of Argos.
My dear brother, the honor of our family has been besmirched by the foreign peacock, this perfumed playboy, the prancing prince of Troy. Let us gather together all the kingdoms of Troy. Let us gather together all the kings of Greece and combine our armies into the greatest force that has been ever since the dawn of history. And let us sail to the far off city of Troy and teach Prince Paris some of the manners.
But Agamemnon was wise and knew that it was a terrible mistake to rush headlong into conflict.
First, we should send an ambassador to Troy and request the return of Queen Helen.
So they sent a message to King Priam of Troy requesting Helen back, but Helen did not wish to go home, and Prince Paris refused to return the lovely Helen, saying that they had been brought together by the loveness of God, Aphrodite herself. And so that meant war. Agamemnon, the brother of the wronged Menelaus, summoned the kings of Greece and prepared a navy of 1,000 ships and the greatest military to ever exist. And that is how the story of the great war between the Greeks and the Trojans started, by Prince Paris and Queen Helen.
All the great cities of Greece decided to join except the city of Thebes. The Greek king Agamemnon decided to teach the Thebians a lesson. King Agamemnon chose for himself one of the captives, a beautiful young girl called Chryses, a priest's daughter, his treasure. Agamemnon told her that she must live with him from now on and be his slave. The girl wept bitterly and begged to be returned to her father, but King Agamemnon was unmoved by her tears.
Please don't take me away.
No, you will live as my servant forever and never see your mother again.
Please don't take my daughter. Take this treasure.
Never! Get out of my sight!
The priest was afraid and swiftly left. Later that evening, he knelt down on the shore of the resounding sea and prayed to the god Apollo of the silver bow. And Apollo heard the poor woman's prayer for just revenge and took up his silver bow and fired into the Greek camp. The arrows of Apollo brought disease, and many of the Greek soldiers fell. Now the finest warrior among the Trojans was Prince Hector. He was a brother of Paris, but they were quite different characters. As they rode out into battle, Hector said to his brother,
Brother, I wish you had not been born, because now we will fight with the Greeks and many great soldiers will die.
When he heard this, Paris left to make amends. He drove his chariot out to the front of the Trojans' army and towards the enemy. In his fairest voice, Paris called out to the Greeks and to send forth their bravest warrior.
Who from the Greek army will fight me, so that we may end this war with little bloodshed?
I, Menelaus, will fight thee. I will will kill you, coward. This is not the last time we will meet.
I beg of you, brave Hector, do not go fight Achilles today. What will I do without you when you're gone? Think of your little son. What use is a father to him when he is gone?
I must fight Achilles, or I'll be looked on as a coward among the Trojans.
I will kill you. Why aren't you dying? Why aren't you dying?
Oh no!
Yeah.
I can't bear this!
Yes, he's finally dead. Yes, 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 yes.
Now that Hector was dead, the Greek army thought that they would soon win the war. King Priam of Troy greatly grieved the loss of his bravest son and feared that the city would soon be defeated. But this is not how things turned out. Not yet. Apollo, the winged god of the silver bow, again decided to help the Trojans. One day in the midst of the battle, he came up to Prince Paris and spoke to him as follows. Hail, Prince Paris, Prince of Troy, lift up your bow and fire an arrow into the Greek army. I will guide its point into Achilles and kill him. Prince Paris replied, Apollo, I will gladly do whatever you ask, but will I not just waste my arrow? For everyone knows that when Achilles was a baby, his mother dipped him in the river Styx that runs the underworld, and as a result, no weapon can wound him, for the water of the river Styx make a man immortal. And Apollo replied, Paris, you speak the truth, but the gods gave the great Achilles a choice. He could lead a short and glorious life on a long and boring one. He chose glory, and so his life must be short. And so Paris dipped his bow into the deadly poison, fired it to the air. It flew in an arc and positioned tip drove into Achilles' heel. For when the gods made Achilles immortal, they did not make his heel immortal. Now Achilles' body lay on the ground dead. The happiest day in the history of Troy was when the Greek army sailed away. For 10 long years the war had raged, and many of the finest and bravest warriors on both sides had fallen in battle. How the Trojans rejoiced as they walked along the shore where the Greek army had camped. Here cruel Achilles had set up his tent. There the arrogant king Agamemnon had commanded his men, and now for the first time in their lives the children of Troy could run and play in the foam of the sea, and teenage boys and girls could walk hand in hand beneath the cliffs. And scheming Odysseus, who was never short of a plan, had come up with a brilliant one. But this revenge is not like anyone you've heard of.
I have a plan. What if we leave a gift for the Greeks? We will leave a Trojan horse that's full of our soldiers, and we will also leave Sinon to tell the Greeks about a lie about our plan. Then we will dock our ships and pretend to sail to the other side of the island. Then when the Greeks get drunk, we will come out of the horse and kill all of them.
Remember this, it is always wise to fear the Greeks, especially when they are bearing gifts.
Poke this wretched Greek spy with our bronze spears until he tells us what this Greek gift is all about.
No, please don't harm me. I'll happily tell you everything you want to know about this present. See, for scheming Odysseus is no more of a friend than he is of you. See, as 10 years ago, as we were waiting for a wind to carry us back home, Odysseus came up with a great plan. But a rumor caught me before he sent his guards to fetch for my death. And so he made up a second plan to appease the gods. and you see the result of it right
And the
before you.
Greek band of warriors who had been hiding all this time within in the belly of the horse let down a rope and were led to the ground, and they stood in the central square of magnificent Troy.
And soon Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, for whom these 10 years of war had been fought, was throwing herself at the feet of the Greek king Menelaus.
Oh, hi there. I knew you'd be calling back.